And when you're awake, the waves are coming in very,
Hey,
very
y'all.
quickly. But the small waves,
Coming live. I actually didn't even I don't think I've done anything since the eclipse. So pretty fun, pretty exciting. I actually nerded out a little bit. I always say I nerd out. I always wanted to be a nerd growing up. Always had siblings that were very much smarter than I was. So anyway, but today I want to talk a little bit about sleep. And the reason I want to talk about sleep and wellness is because, from my understanding, executive functioning is negatively impacted if somebody is sleep deprived. And so years ago, when I was in graduate school, one of my colleagues was asleep. He worked for a sleep lab. And he has moved away, so I haven't spoken to him in a while. But I had asked him quite a few questions about REM sleep, about my husband was just a terrible snorer, like, like sawing wood kind of snoring like that. And so he actually never like used the sleep apnea machine where, they put something on their nose and whatever. But anyway, there's a gentleman whose name is Dr. Andrew Huberman, I believe. He's from Stanford University, and he actually does quite a few podcasts and he interviews experts. And so today I was looking at a conversation between he and Dr. Matthew Walker, and I'm not sure where Dr. Walker is from. So that's very, very interesting. And so I just want to urge you to check that out if you want, like, the brainy, like this cerebral, like the high level conversation. But I think this is like super interesting because the topic of sleep on a number of fronts. Number one, I have been a substitute teacher now going on, well, for a number of years. And so some of my observations for myself is if I'm not well rested and I don't sleep well, it's very difficult for me to, of course, as a substitute teacher, I have to reorient myself as a day sub, unless I have a multiple day, assignment. Yeah, I'm constantly in like this state of, get oriented, see what the teacher wants, present the material or the lesson to the students. And then, the biggest part of substitute teaching by and large and hands down is classroom management. So it's a real drag because I don't know. I tell the kids, I don't want to have to judge whether you're behaving or not. Just behave, So a lot of them don't, just saying. Many of them do, though. So anyway, but I think about sleep from my own personal experience. Ever since I was a little girl, I had trouble sleeping. I had terrible dreams as a child. And then throughout college, like when I started my undergrad, I literally was working 4 jobs in my freshman year, but actually maybe 3 or 4 jobs, and taking 15 hours worth of courses. And so I deprived myself sleep. I was in a pre-engineering. I wanted to be a computer scientist. I was in a pre-engineering program. And basically I would just, fall asleep. I would sit in the very front. How embarrassing, right? Right up in front of the professor to try to make myself stay awake, and I would just fall asleep. Or I go to the library and I just fall asleep for like 2 hours or whatever. Wake up in a total panic, like, oh my gosh, I have to be somewhere. So, and then, got through undergrad, became a mom. My sleep was terrible, especially with my first son. In fact, I for hours would walk this young man, like, and he had terrible sleep patterns as a newbie, as a newborn baby. And so um I don't know how he sleeps now, but I can tell you that I subsequently, so I had three grown children, so stayed a mom, and my sleep patterns were interrupted just because of being a mom, right? Like, I was a light sleeper, and if something was going on with any of the kids, or with my work, or with me, or with my husband, like, or something else, like, I really suffered in that area. So these gentlemen speak about REM sleep, and turns out that we actually dream in all stages of sleep. And lucid dreaming is when you actually realize that you're dreaming. So, like, you're sleeping, but you realize you're dreaming. So, I definitely understand that too. So, got some on my screen here. So, anyway, very interesting topic as far as I'm concerned, because I've known, like, people particularly that have been in the military, who learn to sleep with their one eye open, and not really sleep, but just rest deeply, as they describe it. Um, a friend of mine, my neighbor, is a Marine. You're never a former Marine. And I mean, like, I remember we first met him, he was like, "Don't ever wake me up, because you'll probably end up, like, almost killed, because that's how I'm trained." Um, but in relationship to learning, I mean, med students, people working on master's programs, students in undergrad, depending on workload and life demands, sleep and is a major, major, major factor in wellness. But I do think, just from an observation and experience, that I am much more sensitive as I'm older than um, when I was younger. But so, yeah, I've never really had wonderful sleep, but I'm definitely paying attention to my sleep. One of the things this gentleman, this doctor, had said that I thought was somewhat interesting is that, is Dr. Matthew Walker. He said that if you are not sleeping and you're laying in your bed for like 30 minutes or so, get up and get out of there. It would be, and he compared it to, we don't go sit at the kitchen table waiting to get hungry. So get up and go in another room and read. Do something with your brain. Get yourself tired. And then a couple other things that I found that are somewhat interesting in the podcast, and there's six of them. So Dr. Huberman delivers like six podcasts about on YouTube about sleep in particular. I don't know if they're all with this Dr. Matthew, whatever his name is, but no disrespect there, but I just have sometimes trouble remembering, short-term memory or whatever. But yeah, it's a huge, huge topic in the wellness space. And yeah, so I found it sort of fascinating that uh, this doctor had indicated that, get up, go read. So, and I like that he said read and didn't, like, say get on your phone, because I do think there's more and more evidence that these cell phones are not good for our cognitive functioning. I am highly concerned as a substitute teacher. Oh, there's my baked potato. I think schools should not allow cell phones at all, K through 12. And that might be like, it is, believe me, I know that's a highly controversial statement, especially because, these kids think that it's an appendage, right? Like my daughter was furious with me when I took her cell phone away for 2 weeks for just being so disrespectful. She got grounded. But I mean, I knew she was going to have access to other electronics, but she was infuriated. I've seen other kids be furious with their parents when they get grounded or take, their cell phones away. So yeah, big tip, parents. Like I would use that for leverage as much as possible. Even though our kids have so many different venues and ways to, I mean, every child seems to have a phone and an iPad or, a Chromebook or whatever. So taking away electronics was sometimes we didn't have a lot of reason to punish our kids, but yeah, I mean, sometimes that was a consequence or a punishment. And um, yeah, it strikes a chord. There's no doubt. But I think just as a substitute teacher, I am not a teacher in training, but my credentials, I guess, are, undergrad in psychology. I'm a mom and worked with people with disabilities for a decade in training kinds of situations, corporate training, HR, finance, and an executive MBA degree with international business. But so substitute teaching, I don't have the right credentials to teach kids, but not technically. But yeah, I mean, from an observation standpoint, there is a local school that was, it's called North, what is it called? Noka. Oh, you guys, I'm kind of getting annoyed. I'm getting these stupid pop-ups on my camera here. So Noka is north. I can't remember what it is, but it's like it's an academy, like Northwest Ohio Academy or something. NOCA. I can't remember. I think that's what it is. Well, anyway, Hillsdale College uh open, like, was the charter, I think, initially for that charter school. And so it is a model of traditional, classical education. And so it's really heavy on civics and teaching about the Constitution at a very young age, encouraging and teaching kids at a very young age the values of the Constitution, of the Liberty Papers, of the founding fathers, and very interesting, very good college. That college, as well as, or that university, as well as the Ozarks, are just fascinating to me. Ozarks, the College of the Ozarks, no student leaves with student loans, none. And then Hillsdale College, they take zero money from the government, and therefore they don't play the fiddle, or they act, their differentiating factor is, they're not relying on, you know, um, government funds in order to operate their university. But that to say, NOCA is a K through 12 school. This year is their first senior graduating class. Hooray, good job. I know Stephen is one, I think he's a class president. So good job, Stephen. But there's a whole slew of kids. And I was substitute teaching, I think it was 4 years ago there. But, the school doesn't allow students to bring in any electronics, period. And that does not preclude utilizing any kind of electronics for educational purposes within the classrooms. And there were very intelligent young people who were quite computer savvy, but mathematically too. They could carry on and would carry on like face-to-face, eye-to-eye conversation. And I appreciated that. And then also at that time, it was a K through 8 school. And, the kindergartners and there was no talking in the halls. They were just, it was a small academy. And but the respect level was high. They had a headmaster, head of school. He drove all the way from Cleveland to Toledo, and nice man. He liked my last name, Thor. I think he used to call me. I don't know. I can't remember. I might be confusing him with one of the guys I worked with at one of the corporations who always used to call me Thunder. But yeah, all that to say, the student behavior and actually the staff support for a sub was phenomenal there. You don't see that in all the schools. So that being said, let's go and take it back to, start to get off on the tangent of cell phones, but cell phones oftentimes keep kids awake. Many times kids are on their cell phones during the night, or they're on their computer consoles and they're playing like online games like Halo and Madden and a bunch of other things or whatever. So yeah. But by giving our kids so much access to electronics, we are impacting their learning, and so I guess time will tell if we're impacting it positively or negatively. But from a adult pushing into the schools as a substitute teacher, it's just a big hassle. First of all, the kids take it out and they say their teachers allow them to have cell phones, even if the school district says that they don't. So that puts the substitute teacher in a terrible position because you have to be like a drill sergeant to so you're writing people up or you're telling them to put their phones away. They're in trouble. But my thought is that these interruptions, these distractions, whether they're the cell phones or whether they are, I'm gonna have to check on my baked potato, folks. Got some major wind going on here. I think the electronics also are impacting the sleep of our children, and with puberty being like the junior high level being such a, I'm going to use the word volatile and unpredictable. It's just like their hormones are crazy. In my observation within the schools, again, I have no idea what these kids are doing outside the schools, but the school that I was at, that indeed, you guys want to see what I'm making? This is silly, but I'm making a potato and an onion. This is like raw food here. So I put butter in here. We got this. I really need to throw some salt on here, but I'm just doing, instead of a blooming onion, I'm just doing like a baked onion. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. I have kind of a boring diet. So, but let me do a couple things here. I want to make sure that this baby is soft, and I don't like baked potatoes that are stiff. So I'm gonna put some salt on here. I use real butter, so that's for that. It's getting quite brown because I've got it up high. I've got it 425. Yeah. See if this onion will split apart. Yeah, you can't go wrong with garlic expressions. Okay, I'm gonna give this another 20 minutes. Well, now that I've completely distracted myself from the podcast, I probably should wrap this up, but I just want to encourage, for me and my channel and Thor Wellness Group, I operate on a very holistic, common sense kind of premise. And although I love to geek out and read and listen to the experts, the doctors, and see the science behind many, many things. As I mentioned, my credentials do not lend themselves to being a clinical expert in that way. So, as usual, I come to you sort of salt of the earth, I guess, right? Like, I don't, in fact, a friend of mine was like, gosh, I saw one of your movie or like one of your YouTubes and it's pretty rough or raw. And I was just like, gee, thanks. I probably set myself up for that, but, yeah, I don't get all prettied up. I guess I don't do the Hollywood thing or, whatever. I kind of just show up and start talking. But yeah, I just urge you to get exercise, get outside every day, even in the wind, even in the winter. Do not to stay in your house every day. Get outside every day. Even if you don't have a job, do not isolate and get outside, and then get good sleep, eat good food, and then also stay hydrated. Basic. And then, like I said, I kind of augment with my own research and science, looking into, what the scientific communities and doctors and that are saying about certain things. But yeah, so thanks for joining me here. I'd love to be able to come up with something super clever about sleep. I just don't have it in me today, but but I do want to urge you again to be well and to mind your sleep. And if you're contending with not just children, but like professionals in the corporate world, let's say, and they are seeming strung out to you because you're around them a lot and you realize they are just not acting themselves, it may be that they are just having a period of time where they are not well rested and they are not getting good sleep. It's a fundamental and foundational, and becoming more and more, there's more and more focus and concentration on sleep than I have ever noticed. And as I said, my undergraduate work was in psychology, but yeah, I kind of veered away from that because I wanted more leadership and focused on time management, leadership, and the like. So as a hobby. So God bless you good, and I hope you enjoyed the clips, and yeah, I can't wait for the next one. It's super fun. And so push your kids towards STEM, and then learn about STEM. Man, there's so much to learn in the scientific space. And if you're not particularly scientific, then just stick a little A in there and go STEAM, and be artistic. But yeah, be well and take good care. And thanks for joining me. You can check me out on my website, thorwellnessgroup.com. I can provide services in corporate training. I can provide actual coaching, project management, and more. But yeah, for right now, just be well and take good care of yourself today. I hope that this is adding value, and the best of luck to you, or, many, many blessings. Oh yeah. Well, I'll cover that at another time, but God bless. Take care. Bye.